Clashes have been taking place in Senegal for several days after the arrest of the opposition leader Ousmane Sonko. Running for the 2024 presidential elections, he is facing rape and death threat charges since February. A general sense of tiredness and frustration is being voiced. The arrest of Ousmane Sonko was the last straw. Many Senegalese are taking to the streets, protesting social and democratic degradation and rights violations. Access to drinking water is a luxury, such as in Cap Skirring, where people demonstrated at the end of May 2020. The increase of the rate employment, despite a growth rate of 7% in 2020.
Le chômage, bon, c'est dû d'abord à la forte croissance et développement du pays. Parfois, il peut y avoir du travail, mais par la forte croissance du pays, il n'y a pas tellement trop de place pour tout le monde. Il n'y a pas tellement trop de place pour tout le monde. En Afrique, il y a trop de corruption aussi.
The attacks on freedom of expression, the victims of shootings in demonstrations, the arbitrary arrests of demonstrators are the issues, amongst many others, leading to this turmoil, as explained by Sophie, a Senegalese fashion designer, to better understand what is happening in Senegal. It's been years now demonstrations are regularly occurring in Senegal to protest against corruption and other social issues, as the following one in 2019. After an investigation claimed that a company run by Aliou Sall, the brother of the president Macky Sall, received secret payments from a gas company in 2014.
Nos ressources. Et on est là à ne rien faire. À dire qu'on fait c'est de la politique, c'est pas de la politique, ça relève de l'intérêt de tous les Sénégalais. Et ils peuvent nous marcher sur nos corps, mais on sera là. On marchera pour le peuple.
Mais vous êtes qui?
Je suis juste une simple citoyenne comme tous les Sénégalais.
Vous trouvez le régime corrompu?
Le régime est corrompu, on le sait, et ça c'est depuis très longtemps. C'est honteux. C'est honteux. Comment est-ce qu'une seule personne peut se... Non mais c'est hallucinant.
So welcome to POC Stories. Today I'm welcoming Sophie and we're going to talk about the situation in Senegal. So welcome, Sophie.
Thank you so much, Aisha, for having me. Thanks for having me on POC.
Yeah. And could you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Sophie Nzinga C. I'm a fashion designer based in Dakar, Senegal. Since 2012, and prior to that, I was in the U.S. Where I studied fashion design at Parsons Newell School for Design.
Okay, and so could you explain what's happening right now in Senegal?
Sure. We are in the midst of, I would say, the most contentious political turmoil of our country in Senegal. This is a very trying time for everybody. I mean, whether it's, artists, fashion designers, people in the private sector, government institutions, everybody is, on their, they're just on the, it's so hard to kind of put it into words, but there's a social anxiety that has happened and people are just not able to work properly. And just function because of the turmoil that has happened since the arbitrary arrestation of Ousmane Sonko, who is the main opposition leader. So these are very real allegations, rape allegations that he is facing, and we believe that this has to do with political imprisonment of an opposition leader because of all of the evidence that have shown that. There was actually the rape allegations are all put together and false. And for me, it's really sad because I'm a feminist and I believe in women's empowerment. And for governments to use women's bodies to instrumentalize, rape allegations, which are so serious, and that we have come such a long way in Senegal to start and to be able to criminalize rape now. And for the government and politics to be involved in this, it's gut-wrenching for me.
Okay. And so what do you think are the causes of the turmoil? Is it more social or is it something else or it's there are so many causes?
There are so many different causes. It's a multitude of things. Obviously, our president just came out and spoke about COVID, saying putting in everything on the back of COVID-19. Obviously, COVID has amplified people's voices in terms of being, really losing jobs and being in very dire conditions. That's a universal thing. But I do believe that prior to COVID, there was a boiling, sentiment in Senegal of people being fed up with not being able to have access to basic human necessities. Water was a big issue, and it's still a big issue. Access to water and access to decent jobs at the end of the day. And the youth don't really have any type of hope for their future. And this is a sentiment. This is not just against Macky Sall versus Ousmane Sonko. This is a general cry out for just better living conditions for Senegalese youth, really. And they're the ones who are out in the streets protesting.
pain rek laay lekk instant yi te pain wala boutique yi tere nañ ko léegi da ngay wër ba sonn pour nga def barke alxuraan tàndarma laay reere lu jóob tàndarma laay reere maa sonn barke alxuraan ñun dañoo sonn ñun dañuy xuus mbalit barke alxuraan
mais gars yi kii il est sérieux hein.
billahi wallahi il est sérieux ñun dañuy xuus mbalit jéggi ndox
xam nga koy wax naan naanatuñu fondé il est sérieux
banlieue lañ dëkk dañuy xuus ndox jéggi mbalit ñun xamuñu town nii buñ gisee lu rafet town lañ ko gis ñun dañuy dëkk fa nga xam si suñu papa yeeg suñu yaay ñun ñëpp ñoo bokk ñaari néeg la ñuy am sama papa ñaari néeg la am ñun ñëpp ñoo ci bokk ndoo dëkk da ngay gis naa paa bi day tëdd nii doom yi tëdd nii loolu dafa mu metti ñun ñu kuñ ko teg mais ñun xamala mooñ kan mooñ tooñ ñun suñuy papa ñoom ñooñ tooñ suñu xeexoon ñun bu ñëwee xeex bi dañ koy mottali rek mu jeex mais fi mu ne ñun foog ñu xeex suñu doom ñëw doogam koy mën a continuer moo tax ñun ñu sonn ci lii nii xam nañ ne ñun conscient nañu instant bi yeewu nañu nekkatuñu di toog di sol ay pain di dem di doxaani di dugg yaa xam si def bàyyi nañu yooyu suñu xel yi la ñuy utiliser bi instant bi parce que ñun ñoo moom dëgg man instant yi am naa bac mais xaw ma nu may def dañ ma war a def concours ma war a defi concours aw ma 200 millions yoo xam si mën naa ko fay fu ma koy jëlee demoon naa ba tàmbali tux di dàmbali agressé affaire yooyu mais damaa dem ba jaaga ma xool xam ni lii dama yóbbu fa nga xam si bu baaxul ci man après si la réguler bi ma réguler après ma delluwaat ma xoolaat sama bopp bu ma connecté may xool ay kii nu mu tudd.
And so how is it the daily life? Because I saw like many things, like people getting arrested because they participated in demonstration. I think also they just cut off like internet for a day, I don't know. So how it is like the daily life?
I mean, daily life is a bit chaotic. Today is a bit more calm, but there is going to be a protest on Saturday. I was on the ground 2 days ago in the protest at the Place de la Nation, and there was thousands and thousands of people. I've never seen a protest with that many people. And I got a chance also to interview a few people with my phone, and I went live on Facebook. And a lot of the young people were expressing their anger against how the repression and how people are just being treated. And right now, a lot of young people who are protesting are facing also allegations of, disrupting, livelihoods of people, which are completely false. I mean, people went out to protest peacefully. I was there. And during the peaceful protest that I was in, I can attest that, the police were throwing, I don't know what's it called, but it's like some type of gas thing that, inhalates you and comes into your eyes. Grenades, that's what they call it. And so that was a peaceful protest. So this is our constitutional right to protest as a people. And I don't think the government should strip that away from us. And what's really scary in this situation is the fact that there is a manhunt now of people who are in protest, people who are fighting back. And this is just unacceptable for a government that says that it's a democratic government. And it's unacceptable in the 21st century, in 2021, that this is happening in Senegal. Senegal has always been, a model for democracy. And we will not accept, any government and anybody to come and strip that away from us. And we have been very clear that even if we have somebody else who comes into government in the next 4 years, in 2024, we have warned Ousmane Sonko and said, hey, if you come here and you do something that you didn't say you were going to do, or you strip us from our constitutional rights, we will vote against you again. And that's how a democracy is built. And I think that this is important. This is a part of how a country builds their democracy. When people are not happy, they have the right to kind of express that. And I think that's just totally normal.
When it comes like to television and radio, like, is there like any restriction from the government also?
Yeah, I mean, this is very sad, but I mean, for 3 days, the main televisions were cut off, Walf TV and Sen TV. These are televisions that are very popular and in Senegal, and they were cut off because they were showing images of the protests. And this was such a shock for so many people that they actually cut off the signals, because all the other televisions that were kind of a little bit, that weren't showing as much of the protests, were let up. They were let open, and these two televisions were targeted. And so that's a direct aggression to, freedom of press, which is not right.
Okay.
And so thanks for social media, we were able to access information on social media from people sharing. I mean, there's just been outcry on social media. And I think that's also something that is not to be taken lightly. So thank God for that.
Okay. And so for freedom of expression, like, do you think right now it's very limited, or?
I mean, it's limited. At one point, they slowed down the internet connection, which was crazy and everybody started to download VPNs so that they can have access to information. And, obviously it's dangerous at this point to even speak up, to go in march, to go out in protest. It's dangerous because anything can happen, as an entrepreneur. I mean, it's definitely something that is of high risk to speak up and have your voice. But for me, I thought it was important. And, it's just part of my DNA and who I am to be able to speak up. I grew up in a household where freedom of speech, all of us, we always voiced our opinions, even if we have different opinions from our parents, we had the right to speak up. And so that's just part of who I am. So for me, I think many people, I'm a bit of an introvert, and I think people are surprised that I'm speaking up, that I'm so vocal, but I've always been interested in political life in Senegal and just Senegal in general. And I do feel very patriotic towards my country. So I said, I have a voice, I have a platform. I don't have the right to be silenced. I don't have the right to not say anything, especially that many people have died now also.
Yeah. But are you not scared regarding your business, or?
I mean, for me, people have asked me that question about business and just business slowing down from people who are maybe in the government. And hey, I have friends who work in the government. I have people who I know. I have clients who are part of the government. But that doesn't strip me away from speaking of my opinion. And we can all agree to disagree. This is what I know. This is my experience as in my life, and I always. Even in 2019, I was quite outspoken during the elections, and, I still went about my life. And many people have always said, hey, you're a business person. You shouldn't speak up. Be quiet. But for me, that's not a way of life. And everybody has a right to opinion. I mean, even people in the government have the right to their own opinion. They can speak up. Everybody should be able to express themselves freely. And when I see something that I think in my gut feeling that is not right, I should be able to say it also.
How the situation escalates in Senegal?
The day that Ousmane Sonko, the main opposition leader, decided to go and respond to the judicial system and go to court. On his way to court, he had one other car in his back for security. And really, when he was coming out of his house, there was so many people who were out to support him. Young people mainly. And so they were just running behind his car saying, Sonko, Sonko. And so when he arrived to a space where he had to turn to go through the university, this is where the police stopped him and said, hey, you can't pass by this way. And so one thing led to another, and he got arrested right then and there, which was like a kidnapping, because they don't have the right to arrest somebody like that, just on the basis of dictating them where to stop. Because if you're going to court, you can go by any route that you want. They shouldn't tell you where to pass by or not. And so for me, that's the first violation of his right. And so they arrested him. So when they arrested him, people heard about this, and just things escalated from there. So that same night, there was fighting in different parts of the country. The next day, they decided to go take him to jail. And that day was very, very, very difficult. It was a dark day for our country, because there was a lot of bloodshed and, police shooting everywhere around the country.
Okay. And so I saw the Macky Sall did his speech, And what did you think about it?
I mean, for me, I was very critical of the Minister of Interior, Mr. Antoine Félix Diome. I was very critical of that speech because I thought that speech was very arrogant. It did not appease the situation. People were very even more fired up because after his speech, because he spoke to the Senegalese people and the youth like they were 5 years old or they were children, and very repressive, you know. And so I think that fired up a lot of things. So people, you know, didn't really know how Macky Sall was going to come through and what he was going to say. Fortunately, I think his speech was much more peaceful in terms of like trying to figure out what are the next steps. And he did take some accountability in terms of saying that, yes, we hear you. We know that you don't have any jobs. But the problem with that speech was that he tried to put things on COVID-19.
Je comprends également, mes chers concitoyens, que la colère qui s'est exprimée ces derniers jours est aussi liée à l'impact d'une crise économique aggravée par la pandémie COVID-19. Personne ne peut nier que le monde entier, notre pays y compris, traverse une profonde crise économique, occasionnant des millions de pertes d'emplois et d'activités génératrices de revenus. Des familles entières sont plongées dans la pauvreté, l'angoisse et la frustration. Je mesure les difficultés quotidiennes dans nos villes et dans nos campagnes. Je sais ce qu'est la vie dure dans nos quartiers.
And he also, which is not, you know, that's not the issue. You know, this has been institutionalized, what's it called? The issue with this government is that there is too much corruption happening. And because it's a corrupt government, the money is not being allocated to where it should be allocated, which is health, education, and job creation. And if you have that sustained for, more than 7 years, you cannot just out of nowhere just come up with a solution and say, hey, there's a tada solution. You have 2 years of literally more years in power, 2 to 3 years. You cannot do that. And so I felt like it was an easy solution that he was giving just to appease people. But at the end of the day, people are still being, arrested as we speak in their homes. People have been shot. So, there has to be a level of accountability in terms of what has been done so far.
Yeah. I agree because I was speaking with my father yesterday.
Yeah.
He was saying to me that when you went in Senegal, it was in 2007 and 2008, and he said to me that when I came back with your little brother, it's a very different Senegal. Like the Senegal you saw, like it's totally a different one. Like you wouldn't even recognize. So.
I was on the main road on the highway where you have to pay for the toll, and that's totally open, free to pass. A lot of destruction happened, which I don't condone at all. I don't agree that for lighting people's homes, or I don't agree for lighting up also businesses and putting things on fire. But I think it's a cry. I think people attacked institutions. I think people attacked, the enemy, I guess, or who they perceive as the enemy. And we also have to think about the relationship we have with France today. This is also a very contentious relationship at the end of the day. And I think that, people are crying out to be heard. People want to be heard. People want to say, they want to show how fed up they are with, just not being totally independent as a country and having a lot of the resources going back to France. So I think that also, I wished Macky Sall also addressed the elephant in the room, because also that's one of the things. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because he was saying to me that he was sometimes going to Auchan like to buy some milk, and just although it was like €2.20 or a price like this, like how is it like possible like that you can put a price such a price, like even in France it's less expensive. So I don't understand really. It's just I'm just amazed, but in a negative way. Yeah.
No, the cost of living is so high in Senegal, and the salaries are quite low here. And so people are hungry. There is literally hunger happening. And, we have in Senegalese society, these values of masla, of teranga, of peace that many people have. And so I think that's why the surprise of Senegal's youth uprising because and I think the youth are just fed up with that. I think at one point in a country's life, there needs to be some type of revolution that happens, and mentally, and also just within people's day-to-day lives also.
Yeah. And so how this movement is going to keep going?
Yeah, well, there's a protest on Saturday because people are protesting. They want all of the political, parties, or all the political people that were caught in these uprisings or jailed. They want them free. And I believe that as well. And they want also the manhunt to stop. So we're going to be marching for that, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how could we help afar from Senegal?
Yeah, well, there's a platform now that I'm going to share. It's called freesenegal.co, freesenegal.co, where you can help fundraise for people who have been hurt, families who have lost loved ones. And I think any help that we can get from the diaspora is just tremendous at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
I would like to just say that I'm so proud of the Senegalese youth. I'm so proud to be Senegalese today. Even though we're in the midst of so much turmoil, but I'm proud to be able to stand up as a Senegalese and say, no, this is not a story just about Senegal. This is a story of Africa. And I want all of Africa to stand up with us and understand that this is a fight for equality. This is a fight for justice. This is a fight for democracy. This is also a fight for us to regain our independence as African countries.